Well, my name's Monica. I'm a fag hag. There's more to me than that, of course. I mean, I run my own business, I make films, I have a family, but I've also had gay men in my life since forever. I'm a third-generation fag hag. I grew up around gay men. I found loads of gay friends at university. I've worked with gay men. I had gay men at my wedding. My neighbours are gay. I've had about 50 gay husbands over the course of my life, in addition to my actual straight husband. I seem to meet gay men just from standing on the street.
I can't be seen touching a woman.
I have 3 children, and they've also had gay men in their lives, all of their lives.
We are an open-minded family.
My oldest daughter, Grace, saw Sydney's Gay Pride Parade Mardi Gras from a backpack when she was a baby. We've been going to the Queer Fair Day since they were tiny. Even the librarian at their school was a drag queen. I don't know why I'm so attractive to gay men. I don't know why I'm so drawn to them. It just seems to be this wonderful symbiotic clownfish sea anemone thing that's going on, and I don't understand it. I see myself, and I see other straight women with gay friends everywhere. Our friendships are documented on TV and in the movies, and it's so much a part of life that we even have a special term for women just like us.
Can I just say, sweetheart, you don't look like a hag to me.
Thank you.
But nobody's ever looked at why it happens or where it started, and the story of the fag hag always seems to be told by other people. So I think it's time for fag hags to tell their own untold story. So, where did it all begin? No, not that long ago. Babyhood is probably a little bit too early. But I do remember being about 5 or 6, and my best friend was a boy who had no male friends. He always played with the girls, and sometimes the teachers made nasty comments about it, and I didn't know why. Now I look back and wonder if the fag and the hag maybe find each other even before we're subjected to labels or puberty or gender rules. I was the tough little tomboy and he was the effeminate sissy, and we were a match made in heaven. And yeah, he did turn out to be gay. And then there were the movies. I've been a sucker for a Hollywood musical ever since I saw The Wizard of Oz on TV when I was tiny. I crushed on the leading men, and I imagined myself as the gorgeous heroine, so sexy and flirtatious and fun. They were such exciting movies and, oh my God, so camp. You know, I'm pretty sure my gay friends will have an opinion or two about this. I remember you kind of commenting on, like, why do all these you just seem to have gay guys around you all the time.
And weirdly, a whole bunch who weren't yet out.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You collect gay boys before they're gay.
Well, there's the overall fabulousness. She's fed us, plied us with drinks, made us laugh, filmed us, entertained us.
But she's done a heap of things for the community as well. She's done heaps of documentary film work in the early 90s with ACON, things for the palliative care AIDS unit at St Vincent's. She's done so much support group with the Mardi Gras organisation.
Being herself, and being a friend and being a support and everything else to the people that she knows that are in that community, I think it means more to me, and I can see more value in that than trying to support the community as a whole.
And gay volleyball was about 12 shirtless gay men of varying physiques, which was kind of encouraging and scary all at the same time, and Monica, who served a very large plate of cake. I'll always remember the cake because she's walking around with this big cake with a knife stick over. You want cake? And this was a long time ago, before all these current dietary fabs, but even back then I thought these poofters are not going to want carbohydrates. But they did.
One of the words that came to mind was loyalty. You've always been there. Through the good times and through the derangingly hideous up times.
She always stamps any homophobic attitudes or comments on their head in a public place, wherever you are. So a lot of people might be like, oh, I hear that. She'll actually call people on it.
This was not the film I intended to make.
I know.
I
helped to convince you to make this one.
Oh, yeah, bastard. This is all your fault.
What else can I say? Just a paragon of virtue, really.
Oh, for sake.
Where exactly did this idea of the fag hag come from anyway? Was it Marianne and Mouse in Tales of the City? Was it Sally Bowles in Cabaret? Was it Edie Sedgwick and Andy Warhol? I've been doing my research and I've been trying to find out more about this elusive woman who's been hiding in plain sight, invisible, right in the middle of the gay rainbow. In days gone by, there was a clear stereotype of the fag hag. She was almost always fat, with too much makeup, always cheap and gaudy, no fashion sense, and unattractive in every way. She was socially stunted, definitely single, because, you know, what self-respecting straight man would want to have anything to do with her? And she would only go to gay bars on the off chance that she might be able to convert some hapless gay man to fall in love with her. I even heard that fag hags were more likely to have a lot of cats, and this is the worst, that we smell poo. I always like to think that if you merged all of these different parts of the stereotype together, you would end up with fag hagzilla, some sort of deranged fag hag monster rampaging through the streets, crushing attractive gay men under her giant smelly feet with every step. But I don't really know if that fag hag stereotype still exists. Why don't we talk to the community and find out what they think of the fag hag today?
The stereotype of the fag hag, I think, used to be quite trashy, very trashy. Yep. Lots of drugs, lots of drink, trashy clothes, trashy hair, trashy attitude, and not much to say, but just kind of hanging on. I don't know. No, I'm not that, I don't think. I used to be blonde, about right, but now I'm not, yeah.
Girls that don't normally have a lot of girlfriends hang around gay boys. Melody here is like a gay boy trapped in a girl's body.
I am not.
No.
And I wish my boyfriend had a little bit of gay in him.
I've tried. I've
Careful
asked
how you ask for that.
Yeah. I've suggested I put some gay in him.
Gay men love beautiful women. So I think that, you know, we select beautiful women to be our handbags.
That's the other stereotype too, is that girls who hang out with gay men can't find a man of their own. Have you ever encountered that one?
Don't
talk about me.
Don't go there.
Generally, the heterosexual, I think, are fag hag, and they kind of adopt the gay life that gay men lead, and they sort of adopt it as themselves. But a lot of the time, like, they're not really in the know about the full kind of ideas or philosophies behind the gay life. They just like the bright lights, the pretty clothes, and the fast music. They don't really. They don't fully understand the struggles or the ideas that gay people have dealt with.
So obviously these guys have never met my mum. This is my mother, Pat. She's an artist, a teacher, a grandmother, and a fag hag. She still lives in the city where I grew up, and she's been a friend to gay men for 40 years. She boogied with them in the 1970s and 80s. She loved and supported them through the AIDS crisis, and now she works on the AIDS quilt.
He's giving me a ball because he can see that all I've got is a string bag.
She's been behind the scenes of the gay community for her whole adult life, and she's invisible. Really, I'm making this film for her.
Well, I don't think I'm a magnet, but I'm not, I don't really care what people are. I mean, as long as they're not nasty, I'm quite happy to talk to anybody, really.
I just liked all the dancing. Like, the caustic sense of humour was just hilarious, you know.
They were much more girly than I was. All the things that make a woman feminine, they did, but I just didn't do. To me, it had nothing to do with being gay. It was just about the kind of people that they were. And I think that I just liked being in their company.
How do you feel about me making a film about fag hags?
About fag hags? I just can't imagine why anyone would be interested. What could be in it that would be interesting about us?
My dad died when I was a little girl, and my mum had boyfriends, but there was really no permanent man in my life. Bobby essentially filled that role. He was my mum's best friend.
Nice men who came and took you to the shops and things like that were in pretty short supply, really, weren't they? I mean, Bobby did all those things. He became like an uncle.
When I was a kid, I was sometimes invited to parties with wonderful, colourful men, sometimes where men were dressed as ladies, who were all part of Mum's group of friends. I distinctly remember one party where grown-ups were roller skating around the kitchen, and Bobby gave me my very own pair of disco roller skates. I have been skating and discoing ever since. It was around the same time that I saw a movie that changed my life. You Can't Stop the Music. Oh, how I wanted to be Valerie Perrine when I grew up. She got to have grown-up disco roller skating parties all the time. Is this just my experience? I wonder what it's like for other hags and their fags.
I probably first entered the community or had that woken in me when I was 16 and had to write a story for school. It was just an English project, there was nothing to it, but just out of me poured this story about a gay man suffering from AIDS and coming to terms with that and nursing his partner to his death. I think there was definitely something I saw in that struggle that I perhaps saw in the way I felt in the world and how I sat in society. I guess I felt that I was perhaps a bit of a misfit.
And we were out once at a party and we said, well, you know, we told her the story of how we met and she's like, no, that's not it. You two have known each other for longer than that. You two were great friends in a former life.
No, there's nothing we really tell each other. We
No.
know each other's masturbatory habits and that kind of thing.
Had to out me on that one. And if I wasn't single before, I certainly will be now.
Now I'm just going to offend everybody now.
Stop 1 second. I need to pat down.
Oh, do you? All right.
Yeah.
Am I just shiny?
Doesn't matter what you say. If you look bad, no one's going to listen.
Oh.
Right.
I'm not setting you up with any of my dirty straight male friends.
You don't know any dirty straight men, do you? You're just
I
making these
do,
people up.
and
No,
there's one
don't
that you know. And
He's not a friend, he's disgusting.
I like him.
You don't like him.
I do like
you
him.
don't like him.
You don't like him.
I
doesn't
don't
mean
like him.
I like him.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, he doesn't like him.
So this is Newcastle, where I grew up. It's an industrial city in regional Australia, about 2 hours' drive north of Sydney, right on the coast. When I was younger, the local industries were the mines and the steelworks. It was a blue-collar, proudly working-class city. It must have been a really hard place to be gay.
I suppose I didn't know any different when I was small, but I really keenly felt the fact that I didn't have a dad and everybody else had one. You know, Bobby just made everything so much fun. He was so interested in me, he was interested in everything that I was doing, and he was just brought some fun into my life. And then he kind of vanished. We lost touch with him. You know, I saw him occasionally. By the time I left Newcastle in 1989, we'd hardly seen him, and then he just seemed to disappear. And, you know, every year when Mum started doing the AIDS quilt, she would look for his name, because we saw the names of all of the guys that had been at those parties. All of those men dressed as ladies, we saw all their names. And those fun people that were roller skating in the kitchen, they all started to die. We lost so many people, so many friends.
The thing about being a fag hag of a certain age is that if you don't hear from a friend for a while, then you can't help but think that maybe he's died. I know people who've passed away from AIDS. I lost friends from university. And I lost Peter. Peter was my best friend, my #1 gay husband. He was my work collaborator and my film partner. We started making this documentary together a long time ago. Just before he died, Peter told me that the kids and I were his bridge back to straight world when his gay life was getting too out of control. He would come over, eat something, sleep it off, play with the babies when he felt better. Just be. He said that he felt safe and happy when he was with us. But not happy enough, as it turned out. Peter committed suicide when he was 37 years old. And I miss him every day. Truth really is stranger than fiction. While we were making this documentary, and not long after Peter died, Bobby unexpectedly came back into our lives. He'd moved overseas to live with a new partner some years before, and he was absolutely fine, just not great at staying in touch. He literally just showed up one day at Mum's work, and their friendship took off again.
We never sit this close.
What? Why not?
I don't know. We just would always sit a bit further apart. Maybe because
Probably because our, what do you call it? Our long distance has gone crazy now. Like,
Doesn't that mean you're attractively blurry to each other now, though? Or
oh, you mean the...
we always were attractively blurry to each other because we'd be at the pub. I wouldn't have gone out by myself because, I mean, I was sort of like on my own. I was a teacher and a mum and all those sorts of things. So a lot of people that I knew were married or girls would go out together, but I didn't like doing the kinds of things that they did. We'd be at the pub and some gorgeous bloke would come in and we'd both go, ooh, and then you'd always say to me, may the best man win.
We used to go to anywhere.
We did.
You know, it didn't matter if it was a bar full of bikies or a bar full of...
Yeah, we'd go everywhere.
Who are the nutcases used to hang out, Pat, that we used to go to that hotel where I leapt out grabbing you by the boobs while the police were saying, what are you doing?
why were you grabbing her by the boobs?
All of the heterosexuals in the bar wanted to grab Pat by the boobs, but I was the one who was allowed to do it. And I used to think that was good fun.
That's fun. Yeah.
I knew I was probably a homosexual, probably from the age of like 13 or 14. I had a very late coming out with everything.
I have a memory of you actually saying it to me. Like when we were in the house in Dawson Street, I forget what the words you used were, and then I thought, but why is he telling me? Like, we both know that this is...
I just started being the person that I was, and Pat just, as usual, just melded completely in. She'd already guessed and already knew, and it wasn't an issue.
Because our family was just me and Mon.
Yeah.
And we soldiered on with everything on our own. And when you were part of our lives, you were more like an uncle to her than any of the men who are actually her uncles.
But I think every gay man needs that niece, that best friend, that daughter in their life. You rolled with the psychological flow of life. You blended in and fitted in for my, I suppose, 40 years or close to 40 years of being out, so to speak. I know I personally wouldn't have survived without all the females in my life. I think we need our mother or our sister forever.
Cause you and I were running wild for that.
I can live without the homosexual men, but I can't live without all the females that are in my life. And that's my personal opinion.
It's so hard for me to imagine a time and a place where being gay was something to keep hidden, since I'm lucky enough to live in the glorious rainbow bubble. Gay men and straight women have been around forever, but in the past our friendships were part of a much larger secret code. Back in the 1930s and 40s, being a homosexual man was not only immoral, it was illegal. In order to protect each other, those in the know would refer to a gay man as a friend of Dorothy, which I think makes Dorothy the first fag hag. Happily, my grandmother's name was also Dorothy, and she had a lot of friends.
Ah. Oh my God.
Is that your grandma?
Yep.
That's my mother, yeah.
God, look at her. I know it was the era, but so camp.
Is it really?
So when I was a little girl, I always remember that she'd kind of have her house dress, and then when it was time to go out, there was a great palaver because she had to do her hair and she had to put her lippy on, and she had a different dress for going out than what she had at home, you know. And I always used to watch that with just such fascination. Was she always like that? Was she like that when she was younger?
She was actually called the flower of the flock. Like, she was the one. She took it that she was the most beautiful, but I think that she was the most engaging of them all. Oh, she always had a flock of men around her, always. When I think of it now, they weren't necessarily blokey sort of men, yes, yeah. And of course it would have been much more important in those days for them to be seen having what appeared to be sexual banter with an obviously girly girl, and yeah, like, it'd be very diffusing, wouldn't it? Like, people who only have a cursory glance wouldn't ever suspect, I suppose.
When they were younger, Dorothy and her sisters and friends would all hang out together, and Keithy was one of the group. So Keithy would be in here because that's Don. That's Uncle Don, and Keithy was Uncle Don's brother. So he might actually be in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Keithy was Dorothy's brother-in-law, and although it was never explicitly discussed, Keithy was a homosexual man accepted and protected by Dorothy and the gang. Did I tell you that we're having family ructions about Keithy?
Yes. What my cousin said was, oh, I know what Monica wants and I have my own thoughts about that and I don't want to talk about it.
But what bothers me about it is that he was apparently out.
Well, he was.
You know, from what we've found out so far, Keithy was a happy, well-adjusted man with a loving relationship.
Yes, I don't understand it. But then we haven't lived in that culture.
Keithy and Dorothy have both passed away. They're no longer with us, so they can't tell us themselves what it was like back then. Our family have been volunteers with a group called Spades for a long time. The group plants trees to commemorate those who have died, particularly from AIDS. The group is run by our close friends, Kendall and Manny, who are both in their 90s. the same age as Keithy and Dorothy would be now. We talked to them to find out more about what it was like to be gay in the 1940s and 50s.
The meaning of out these days is, or since the 70s anyway, has meant that you came out openly. I was out to myself and to other gay friends. It was a sort of almost like a society that you formed with your friends. You had to be careful because it was against the law.
During the mid-20th century, homosexual acts were legal in most countries around the world. The penalty in Australia was imprisonment. Women were vitally important during those times because a pretend girlfriend or wife could save a gay man from being socially outcast, bashed, or arrested. Women all over the world knowingly offered themselves as a sort of disguise, which is why they were often called beards.
So do you think that Nana was a beard?
I think she would have been, yes, in the interest of protecting her friend.
Plenty of famous gay men have found themselves a beard in the past. Maybe she didn't know it at first, but she was certainly complicit with keeping him safely disguised by the end. And that includes, allegedly, Oscar Wilde and Constance Lloyd, Cole Porter and Linda Lee Thompson, Vincent Minnelli and Judy Garland, Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor, Peter Allen and Liza Minnelli. And it's not just in pop culture. Alan Turing, the famous British codebreaker, was engaged to fellow mathematician Joan Clark. Once she found out that he was gay, she was unfazed by his homosexuality and happy to continue the sham relationship for a while to protect him. And according to the gossip columns, fame still drives some gay men to try and hide their homosexuality, and women are helping them to do it. I'm just saying, Taylor Swift is rumoured to be a power beard. Allegedly, it's a rumour. So I've heard. Hollywood has helped with the cover-up since the beginning of movies, and the golden age of musicals was full of subtext, constant nods and winks to a friendship that didn't even really have a name yet. Film and theatre and fashion are worlds where fags and hags have connected happily for generations and still do. They helped make pop culture, which is why we can see ourselves there, subtle in the past and now increasingly out and proud. My experts and all my pop culture references have come from the United States. I think it's time to hit the road and find out more from my people about where the fag hag fits in the rainbow. And what better time to go than summer and gay pride. I'm off to Hollywood. Dorothy is going to the Emerald City.
And ladies and gentlemen, those double chimes indicate that we're well into our descent. All electronic equipment.
I can't believe I'm here.
I arrive in Los Angeles and head out to find my icons on the Hollywood strip, the fag hag divas from pop culture that completely counteract the stereotype of that fat and trashy friendless girl. Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli, Bette Midler, Cher, Elizabeth Taylor, even Doris Day. All these successful, gorgeous women are loved by gay men and rarely get stamped with the fag hag label. As I'm walking along Hollywood Boulevard and into West Hollywood, the gay end of town, it occurs to me that there has been a gap between the diva as gay icon and the way we've seen and understood the everyday fag hag in life and in pop culture.
The term fag hag originates in the early 1970s, and what I think is interesting about that is that our first introduction to the fag hag really is filtered in and through the lens of gay men.
I pop in for a cup of tea with Jane Ward, who can shed some light on the academic side of the fag hag.
I think the first articulation is in the film Fame with the Doris character. It's a term that's describing a lonely and isolated, often overweight, unattractive, dumpy, outcasted woman who, in a way, is her own kind of queer figure. The 1990s is kind of the golden era of the fag hags, especially the late 1990s, at least in the US context, because you see this spate of films. Now, a very conventionally attractive woman, a woman who certainly has no trouble getting the attention or desire of men, who is drawn to gay men because straight men are failing her. Then moving into the contemporary period, what I see, at least in media, the mainstream media, is that the fag hag is no longer a hag, number one, and her gay friend becomes more of an accessory to her.
Being friends with a gay guy is now like desirable. You know, it's like, oh, you know, we're not cool until we have a gay friend. Like once we've had a gay friend, we've really made it. We're like so cosmopolitan and sophisticated.
Brian Moylan is a journalist and self-confessed pop culture junkie.
What made being a fag hag great back in the day was that there were these women that were sort of marginalized by straight culture as well, you know, often didn't fit in the sort of physical norm of what a girl should be like, and it made them special. Like it made them, you know, the life of the party, and they had all these friends, and there was a way for them to fit in. Now, it's like every girl has gay friends. And so, you know, every girl thinks they're a fag hag. You know, it's like every girl thinks gay people love them.
I do think there's a danger that the fag hag is heading towards extinction. She's at least an endangered species. And so, you know, if you think again about someone like Carrie Bradshaw as fag hag, you know, this really is our new model for the fag hag, and she would never identify herself as a fag hag.
Fag hag was a woman who was too ugly to land a straight guy, so she just hung out with gay guys. Plus, what woman wants to be called a hag?
Oh girl, get off the cross. When you're the pussy.
Fruit Fly is a musical comedy directed by H.P. Mendoza, and it's a film about a girl who makes the uncomfortable realization that she might just be a fag hag. So is it the terminology of the fag hag that's become irrelevant? Or is it the fag hag herself? Are those of us who aren't Hollywood divas going to slide from stereotype straight into extinction?
I have mixed feelings about the term fag hag because obviously fag is a bad word and hag is a bad word, and two bad words together don't make for a good phrase, but I like it better than fruit fly. I don't think women like being called an insect. So I'll stick with the fag hag, or just girls who like boys who like boys.
So true.
Michael Musto is an award-winning journalist who has written extensively for publications like The Village Voice and Out magazine. He is a renowned and influential figure in the rainbow community, and he was one of the judges at the first Miss Fag Hag pageant.
Well, in the 90s, I was part of the activist movement that claimed back the word queer and the word fag, and we had clubs called Rock and Roll Fag Bar, and we had a Queer Nation organization, and we ran through the streets. We're here, we're queer, get used to it. So why not fag hags? Fag hags need to claim that word and take the power away from it and make it their own. They need to own fag hag. Why don't I see millions of women in the street going, we're fag hags, get used to it? I think it's time that LGBT becomes LGBTFH. Fag hag should be incorporated into it because they are part of the community. They spend as much time in the community as the community does. So let's give them their honorary memberships and just say, welcome. Welcome, ladies.
My next stop is New York, the original home of Doris Finsecker from Fame and the chosen home of the Swish Ally Fund, one of the first of the gay-straight alliances that have emerged in the USA in the last 20 years.
I'm here in New York City at Stonewall, the place where the famous riots happened and where all of this movement began. I'm going to be doing some outreach work with Swish. I'm super excited about it.
The Swish Ally Fund was formed in 2003 by two passionate fag hags who volunteer their time to raise awareness about issues faced by the gay community. Swish was originally an acronym for Straight Women in Support of Homos, but now it's treated like a verb. To swish is to fight for equal rights using talent, smarts, and a sense of style. Swish expanded its mission to more communities around the world when it launched the Swish Ally Fund in 2014.
I think it's really important to have LGBT and straight people working together. When a straight person makes a declaration in support of equality, it's heard differently.
Even in this overtly gay part of New York City, homophobic hate crimes are common. Today's outreach is in response to a recent spate of violence against gay men and a murder. The Swish women are doing their bit to protect their gay friends and keep them safe.
The first gay man that I ever loved was my minister, actually. I was 11 years old, and I actually grew up without a father. And he sort of took me under his wing. He was this incredibly charismatic, incredibly lovely man, but he passed away rather brutally from AIDS. This was in '87. And no one explained to me what happened.
My best friend, Mark, who was married, he came out to me when I was 21. That changed my life because he was 31 at the time, and I was so struck by the fact that he had lived 31 years and been married and got divorced, and then 2 years after he got divorced came out, you know, and was just living this lie. And that to me was so And I remember the first time I walked into a gay club and saw all these beautiful half-naked men dancing with each other, and I got really emotional. And the first thing I thought was, oh my God, if all of this could be happening outside in the world, it would be a much more peaceful place.
The women of Swish have dedicated their lives to the GLBTIQ cause. But I was curious to see if their gay friends had ever been involved in any women's issues.
Wow, great question.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Because my gay friends will do like anything I ask them to, I never felt like unsupported.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I mean, we're a gay-straight alliance, but like Monica was saying, it's only going, the straights are supporting the gays. But what would it look like? What would it look like if we redefined what a gay-straight alliance is and asked for the support to come the other way?
I like that.
Okay, you can't. I don't know that you can put this on film, though.
I think that any gay man who's not a feminist is an asshole. I mean, just honestly, because the struggles are one and the same, because the issues of homophobia have much to do with gender norms and misogyny. I mean, look at Elizabeth Taylor. She was the first person, raising money for AIDS, and we definitely had all those women, nurses and doctors and fag hags who were helping us through, the hardest time in gay history. And yes, I think that, we definitely should be doing our part.
The next day, I'm excited to talk to Dave Singleton. He's an author who really loves his fag hags. Dave captured a different angle of the relationship in his book, Behind Every Great Woman, There's a Fabulous Gay Man.
Even with Will and Grace on the airwaves, I didn't think that there was a book that captured what I thought was this new dynamic of a relationship. And I wanted to write a book that sort of turned that whole fag hag idea on its head. Part of the measure to me is the level of grief I felt when I lost the woman who I had been closest to for 15 years when I lived in New York. She's the keeper of my secrets. She knows everything that I went through. I know everything she went through. I just don't know how we could have shared more. She became a huge part of who I am. You know how powerful this relationship is. You know how much it means. The two of you do. But when it comes to certain traditions and life events, you don't have a name for it.
Talking to Dave reminded me of how much I treasure my gay friends and the intensity of our relationships. These men are my family. We would do anything for each other. There is so much more to this than me just being someone's hag.
Fag hag has a lot of baggage. Fag hag has steamer trunks. Fag hag does not have a carry-on Louis Vuitton. Fag hag has steamer trunks of baggage. In the same way that we need to think of a new term that really sort of encapsulates this, I think we need a song. I don't know who's going to do it for us. Do you have any problems with Cher doing it?
No, Cher can totally do it.
Okay, Cher
What
can
about
do it.
like a Live Aid kind of thing where we get Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, Cher,
Lady Gaga. Some men. Who would we get? Men.
Yeah.
Elton John.
Yeah, sure. Why
Yeah,
not?
get Elton
And his
John.
husband. We could
Bono.
get
Can I have Bono? Because I think Bono, even though he's a straight man, he's a very evolved straight man, and I think
could be
he
the
would
fag
come.
Stag. He could be the fag
He could be
stag.
the fag sag, and
All
I
right.
bet you he's a lesbro.
I bet he is.
Because I'm a lesbro,
Yeah.
and I think I saw him at the monthly meeting. So I think we should have Bono.
So we'll do like a Live
Kylie
Aid.
Minogue.
Of course, Kylie.
I really miss Peter. I miss him so much. He would have loved every second of this trip and meeting all these cool people, and he really would have loved the idea of a concert. But he would have insisted on starring our heroine on screen and off, the indomitable Liza Minnelli. Liza Minnelli is the fairy godmother of our little rainbow bubble of queerness, the goddess of fags and hags everywhere. She is the daughter of Dorothy, a gay icon, a beard, allegedly, Sally Bowles from Cabaret, and the mistress of oddball reinvention. She's the best and worst of the fag hag all rolled into one amazing woman. My final pit stop on this voyage of discovery is San Francisco, the gay capital of America. Little did I know, though, while I was mid-flight, something historic was taking place.
And today, they decided in California, the U.S. Supreme Court said that we are now American citizens. We can get married.
So today we're celebrating sort of that same-sex marriage returns to California. It's not here, it was always here.
Happy Equality Day!
To be honest with you, I'm just completely overwhelmed by the fact that I'm here and that I got to witness this. I really hope that the rest of the world comes to this party because it's pretty extraordinary.
After a very big night of celebrating, I went to visit Robert H. Hopke for some homemade hair of the dog.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I feel
My
like such a
pleasure.
fangirl sitting here with you. It's really, it's quite
Robert is a relationship counsellor and author who explored the straight woman-gay man friendship in his seminal and very personal book that he co-authored with his friend, Laura Rafferty.
I think in any friendship, there is a certain level of being in love or even erotic attraction between two people. You know, it's certainly the case with my male friends, straight or gay. You know, I'm not going to have a friendship with a guy unless there is a powerful level of attraction on a number of different levels. You know, there's a way in which, as a gay man, once I'm out, there's a certain appreciation for my female friends that, you know, in a way, it becomes then a matter of choice, you know, because it's not presumed I'm going to have a relationship with a woman as a gay man. You know, the friendships that I pursue with my female friends really come from my love for them and my wish to have them in my life. And I think, you know, I can't speak for women completely on the other side, but as you're saying, like, there's no pressure to have friendships with gay men. And in a way, it's a little bit, you know, what do we want to say? It's a little bit transgressive to do that. You know, it's sort of like a rebellious thing for a woman to have a good gay male friend. I'm not a big fan of the term fag hag myself either, I have to say. So, and I sort of see it as very jaded. I mean, I really don't see anyone using the term very much any longer. You know, the sexism of it and the homophobia of it really kind of have sunk the term in terms of popular use.
When I say fag hag, does any kind of stereotype come to mind?
Fabulous girls. He actually has a fag hag walk that he does. It's fantastic, but it's someone like strutting down the runway because they've got gay advice all day long.
I think to me it just sounds like just another slang term in our generation of somebody who has a lot of gay friends.
So I think that the term fag hag could either bother you or not bother you, depending on how
okay you are with yourself?
Well, it doesn't bother me. I'm an out and proud fag hag.
There you go.
Yeah. So your mum has called you a fag hag?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I have a really good friend that she happens to be lesbian, and we always hang out, we're always together, but we're not. I'm not lesbian, but my mom doesn't understand that, so she always,
I don't think she understands what a fag is either, if she thinks that you're a fag hag for hanging out with lesbians. So have you ladies ever been referred to as fag hags, or?
Yes.
You have?
I have.
And how did you react to that?
I mean, it escalated into a situation. Just because I don't like that being called that way. It's very disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
Can I just say, sweetheart, you don't look like a hag to me.
Thank you.
So, the same rules apply here. We're happy to be friends, but we're not so happy about being hags. My last meeting is with the infamous Susan Reaver, queen of the local fag hags.
Welcome to the San family.
Thank you. What can I provide? What will I bring to the San family? What's my special?
Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
I'm curious to find out how she defines herself and her friendships and her role in the local gay community.
I was a very early bloomer, and I discovered the gay dance floor when I was 13. And it was just this huge club in my hometown of Washington, D.C. And there was an outdoor volleyball court with sand, and the boys were playing volleyball in their underwear, and the B-52s were playing inside, and all the boys were throwing me around and flipping me around, and I went down to my bra and panties, and nobody cared. It was just this whole world of freedom that opened up to me, and what was the point about the dance floor? It really wasn't very long after that people just started dying. And so because I am from Washington, D.C., it was very easy to become an activist overnight.
Even to this day, Susan continues her charity work and awareness campaigns at www.lovemygays.com.
It's charity, it's parties with purpose, it's community, it's love, it's history, homosociology, it's a little bit of everything.
I mean, to get real, new agey about it, you have to honor the feminine in all of its manifestations. And I mean, there's no truer manifestation of the feminine than a fucking female.
I find it amusing when gay guys try to give her shit, and I'm like, what the fuck have you done? What the fuck have you done? You don't even tip well.
I have a long list of lessons I've learned as a fag hag, like you always need your own keys and your own cab money, and you don't expect to leave the club with the boys that you came with. The music changes. The music will let you know when it's tick o'clock.
Oh, we all know Dick O'Clock. It's 2 or 3 in the morning at the gay bar when your best friend stops paying attention to you and starts scanning the room for trade. Grab your cab money, Dorothy. It's time to go home. I feel so welcomed by the San Fran family and by all the fag brothers and hag sisters that I've met here in the States. It's funny how the misfits and the oddballs find each other and make up their own version of family. Like a lot of fag hags, it seems, and like my mum, I've also had an unconventional life. I was a single parent to my kids for a long time after my first marriage ended, and it was during that time that my gay friends really supported me. I mean, they came over, they babysat, they fixed things, they made me dinner, they took me dancing. There was no way that any of that was going to end in sex. And I just wasn't ready to date again anyway. But I needed to be adored by handsome men who loved me. I was getting back into the dating scene and trying to navigate dating and single motherhood. But I met Steve at a nightclub. Surprisingly, though, not a gay nightclub. He was really good looking and he was dressed really, really nicely, and then he got up and had a bit of a dance, and he was a good dancer. And so, of course, I assumed he was gay.
Well, when I met Monica, she made it fairly clear straight up that anybody that she went out with had to be fine with gay people because she had so many gay friends in her life, and that was a big part of her life. The intimacy of the relationship with some of her friends took a little bit of getting used to on my part as well. But I suppose because I didn't have the context, I hadn't had a lot of experience of seeing that relationship in the flesh.
he liked me and didn't mind that I had children, and more particularly, he was prepared to run the gauntlet of my gay friends, all of whom decided that they needed to decide.
One of her friends did say to me, "You better look after her, or there'll be a plane load of puffs that's going to come over to Ireland and beat you up." So, and he meant it in a very nice way, but he meant it.
It's my last day in San Francisco and I'm so excited. It's the gayest day possible, San Francisco Pride March. I saw Scottish people for gay rights, Hawaiians for marriage equality, Mormon mothers who love their gay sons, and loads of straight alliances, but nobody who freely and proudly admitted to being a fag hag. So, I'm home, I'm unpacking, I'm exhausted, but I'm excited.
Okay.
This experience has taught me so much more about the fag and the hag friendship and made me appreciate just how similar our relationships are and how central to the gay story we've always been. I think what I'm really scared of is that fag hags are going to slip from an embarrassing side note of gay history into invisibility, and all the love and support and behind-the-scenes activism that we've provided will be gone forever. You know, our queen, Margaret Cho, said that she wanted a fag hag day so that we could get the gratitude we deserve en masse. Well, maybe we won't get a whole day, but could we maybe get a little bit of the spotlight just for one night? And we need to get the hell away from that horrible term, fag hag. I think I've heard all the alternatives by now, and the one I like best is handbag. I love being a handbag, and men can be handbags too. It's not offensive or gender specific, and it shows that we're glamorous and useful and essential pieces of the rainbow wardrobe. My quest for some public recognition starts with a sketch over dinner with my dear friend Greg for a float to be featured in the Sydney Gay Mardi Gras Parade.
Can I just draw my ideal perfect handbag?
I knew it would be that shape. I had a strange feeling.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Because that'd be quite nice here, because that could almost look like curtains on a window for those bits.
Yes,
You know, it has
yeah,
that sort
if
of
we got the
feel of-
ridges in the right places.
Yeah.
Has your group or organisation entered the parade before? No. Please provide a description of your entry and how you think it will look on parade night. Yes.
Should I put a white sheet behind it?
Oh, yes, so
Or
you can
that
see it.
woolly.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Now, what are you doing, Mon?
I'm dyeing my hair
Yes.
because I haven't got time to go to my hairdresser and get a nice proper dye job. And by the way, look at the number. It's the hair colour of the beast. And she looks so nice. She's actually
Yes,
Satan.
That's right. She is.
I'm going to look just like her. Just like her.
I'm so grateful to be doing this with my mum. It's fun to be working together, and it's actually something we've done before. I was working as an AIDS volunteer in the early 1990s when I first heard about the Quilt Project, and I knew someone who would be perfect for it.
You suggested that there were so many people who were dying of AIDS and so many partners and families who really wanted to do something, and that I not only had the skills to make something in textiles that would be more durable, but that also as a teacher I would be able to make that a nice process for them.
The AIDS Memorial Quilt started in 1987 in San Francisco when a group of strangers gathered together to document the lives of people who were dying, in the fear that their stories would be lost. Each quilt panel is made to represent someone who has died of AIDS and is created by the grieving people left behind. Lovers, family, friends, carers, and helpers like my mum.
I didn't feel as if I was part of the gay community. I felt, that I would come in to work on the quilt. But working with you made me feel like I was part of it. I think it was
I just took it for granted that you were one of the volunteers, but your particular volunteering was
about that.
The quilts.
Yeah.
So when we started, there was so much happening. 20 people a year were dying. We were fresh out of uni. Although we were a bit more mature, it was a bit like, this is a huge thing. But when you came along, there were all these, we were trying to encourage parents to be involved in this new thing.
It was part of the counselling process. It was part of the grieving and coming to terms with.
And I remember we talked about it later on that day and said, this is so important. Pat is so good. You were so relaxed that, all these people were so tense and wondering, I can't do it, I can do it, I can't do it.
Because that idea of acknowledging the people who had AIDS, and the people who were still living with AIDS, and the people who had died from it, that was a no-no. People didn't want to have anything to do with them. It was all their own fault because they were gay. It was part of recognising who they were and what kinds of people they were. So I was able to sit with the mothers and talk to them, or the fathers, let them talk to me about what that whole process was like. Some of the stories, especially the fathers, ran their kids off their property with shotguns and threatened to kill them and wouldn't speak to them and had nothing to do with them. They'd surreptitiously meet their mother somewhere out for coffee, and horrible things they did to their boys. When their child was dying, all the supports that their child had were people from the gay community, and suddenly realised what a huge mistake that they'd made. And I didn't ever go to the ceremonies at first. Then they kept inviting me.
After years of helping with the quilts, quietly in the background, Mum finally attended the AIDS Day Memorial at Newcastle Cathedral.
That's when it really hit home to me how AIDS had absolutely devastated the gay community.
In the years that followed, we went with her, and my children became helpers too.
I used to think, well, I'm not really part of the gay scene, but then I actually was, and I was a really important part of it.
"20 years after she made her first quilt, Mum's work was acknowledged in a public exhibition and ceremony at the Newcastle Museum. It says, Gregory Anderson, draft technical drawing of handbag flame. That's just so cool. Look, and there's the lights he's got, down on stalks. And they're cutouts so the people inside can see. Oh my God. Greg's a genius.
I'm getting around 4 hours sleep a night. Hence this beautiful face, because I'm absolutely panicking about the float. How are we going to attach it to the van? And how are we going to make sure that it's well lit? And how are we going to make sure that bits of it don't fall off and hurt people? And when on earth am I going to get the time to actually do all this stuff?
So it's when we get to here that we really have to start. So it goes like...
Am I just completely stretching the friendship with my friends who are all helping, and my poor mum having to drive backwards and forwards from her place to my place? Oh, pipe bending technology.
Oh, yeah.
I'm overdoing it. So
yeah,
that
to
it's-
come back again. Okay,
Yeah.
So
But what I'd like to do is lay it all out on the street there.
I just have to stop worrying about it so much. It's in 3 weeks. That's fine. We can build a gigantic handbag that sits on top of a van like a tea cosy and ride up Oxford Street inside the giant handbag that I created with my brain. Totally possible to do all of that in 20 days. I'll show you which way it goes in a minute.
Only in this family would a section of a Mardi Gras parade float behind next to business socks.
Behind my shoulder, the men making the float.
It became apparent that our little float unit couldn't handle the work alone, so I roped in some more handbags to help with the build.
worried about those men on that car.
I think they're having boy fun. It doesn't get hot, it's really low wattage, so it won't blow the generator, and I'm keeping it at the end.
There was nothing like what we needed in the stores, so we actually had to create every sequin and accessory for our handbag float from scratch.
This one could use a bit of, eye cream.
Let's just give you an idea of how strong it was and how it could work. And I brought a multitude of pink paint. That's my job, is just to stand here and get worried, isn't it? Okay. Sorry, I've got a lot on my plate at the moment.
I know you do, darling. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to...
Just now I'm trying to find somewhere for us to go on Saturday that's undercover because Greg's worried that it's going to rain and I can't find anywhere.
Honey. You'll get there. Don't worry. We'll pull this together at the weekend, so...
Coordinating people and making stuff and organising everything was just overwhelming. It was like a knitting circle on steroids, craft from hell. My crazy desire for handbags to be the centre of attention was going to be the ruin of me. I need to stop freaking out. I need to roller disco. Being a teenage girl in the 1980s, when my hormones kicked in and I started to notice boys, I was surrounded by, let's face it, camp pop idols like Duran Duran, Queen, The Cure, David Bowie, Boy George, The Village People. I mean, Elton John even got married to a woman. And let's not forget Wham. George Michael was my biggest crush, and you know, even though I miss him terribly, I do blame him a little bit for my confused affection for the gay man. But, you know, when you're a teenager, it's all confusing. Are we friends? Are we going out? Does he like me? Am I ugly? You never really know what's going on.
But when I think back, 25 years, 25 years ago, I fell in love with a man, a boy man. We used to go to the movies together and we used to hold hands and we used to sort of go on dates, even though they weren't actually dates now that I realise. But in my head they were dates. I was going out with a boy who liked me and I liked him.
When I finally found the courage to tell him that I loved him, he told me that he thought he was gay. I was the first person that he came out to, and he asked me to keep it a secret. I honoured that because he was still my best friend. But everybody knew that I had a crush on him, so I had to tell them all that he just wasn't attracted to me. I watched him fall in love with other boys, and I was so hurt. I didn't have anybody to share that with. I thought that it was my fault, that I was just stupid, that I hadn't seen it coming, that I should have known better. I should have been more savvy. Far out. Me, of all people, I should have known. But I didn't want to know. Maybe I couldn't see it. Maybe, you know. I could see it. I could see it, I just didn't want to see it.
If you need me, darling, I will be right by your side. Through the windy weather, through the darkness and the light.
Now I know this is a really common story for a lot of confused men and their clueless female friends.
A while ago now, and thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with this person, and then he came out to me, and I was the first one he came out to. And I want to say it was a surprise, but I think every girl sort of knows. So I'm over it now, and I think that a few $1,000s worth of therapy couldn't fix, so that's fine.
You know, you grow up in a straight world and you think, well, I'm gonna get married to a woman. And then you meet a woman, a great girl, and you think, I've got such a relationship with her. It's got chemistry, it's got all of these things. Okay, it doesn't have the complete, you know, heterosexual dynamic. And for a woman, it's the same thing. It's like meeting a guy and feeling this attraction and feeling safe too at the same time, and especially when you're young and that's new, I mean, that's very powerful.
And the summer after school we got together, and it was a beautiful, lovely relationship. I was absolutely smitten, and we continued to be in love through the years. We travelled the world, and we were together for 18 years, and I was happy every single one of them, so very, very much in love. And it was only around the 17-year mark, I guess, that things started to get a little strange with him. And then in a shopping centre car park in Marrickville, of all places, he told me I'm gay.
I was surprised and sort of felt a bit betrayed and shocked all at the same time. But then when I was asking myself, you know, questions about it, all I wanted was for him to be happy. So if it meant being apart from me and being true to himself and being honest with himself, then that was far more important.
To see this person I'd always known one way become someone unrecognisable to me. I mean, I knew we'd been each other's one and only. And to see him then get into the scene in a big way, like a kid in a candy shop, and why wouldn't he? Like, I mean, if you've been waiting your whole life, why wouldn't you? But it was difficult. Suddenly, because he had changed, it made me ridiculous. And it felt like he had a community that was there waiting for him. But that was kind of my community. And it felt like I lost custody of my people.
As the sun's beating down, there's a place we would rather be. A sunset on the ocean, a warm summer rain.
I think the most amazing thing is, so many of us, after we've fallen in love and had our hearts broken, we pick up the pieces and we do our best to be just friends. Sometimes we even help with the coming out process. There's such a strength in that. To me, that is love.
We've got trust to show us that will last.
Back to work.
I think it's close to 1,500 individually handcrafted sequins on this thing.
What you doing?
Slave labor.
Slave labor!
It's cruel of me to do this to you, isn't it?
Well, Lily came here. You came here of your own accord. Yeah.
So I can exploit her?
Sure.
My fingers are coarse and bleeding from needle pricks.
Are they really?
I live for putting little small circles in the middle of a big circle so you can find the center point.
I'm going to tell the truth. I was spraying folders out of my office, just sticking random bits of pink fabric on top. When I sweat, it's glitter. This comes out of me. I had no idea it was going to be so difficult.
Okay, if I get high, come and join me.
We've done as much as we can in the forward planning. Today's a day. We're just going to have to make it work.
It's going fantastically. That's right. There's nothing more I like than working with tools under no pressure at all.
In the last couple of days, I've inhaled glue, spray paint, terps, everything. I feel very relaxed.
Sorry, B7.
Oh no, boss away, darling. I finished sequining at 1 and I started sequining at 5. You guys are freaking me out.
Spray paint these black, please.
So it's 1 o'clock. We're supposed to be leaving. We're supposed to be packing up at 2:30 to be there for 4.
I'm just wondering whether because this is not going to do much.
I'm a lean, mean gaffer tape machine. Why is no one talking to me? Is it bad? Tell me what's happening.
We've just got to do a lot on site.
Okay, that's
We've got
all
3
right.
hours. We've got 3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
We've run out of time, so now we're trying to work out how quickly we can just do whatever we can.
I'm ready. Why are you laughing? Because I look awesome.
Yeah.
Is that going to go on like that? I am now massively regretting my decision to do this because I just feel very worried.
That's why we're going to tie it on. So let's put it on the other side.
I can see everything blowing in the wind, and we're running really late, and I'm wondering if this was a good idea now.
Higher, Steve. It's stuck on the. Like, Steve, is that not going to slip because the thing away?
This one's fine.
Okay, all right.
All right. Just worried.
Just really tight.
You're right, balance like an inch.
Where did that come from?
If that comes off...
Oh, stop it.
Oh my God. Quick car update. As we were driving to the parade, we realised that we had almost no fuel and we are late. Like, we are seriously late, and it's a lockout. Basically, if you don't get there within the allocated time, they lock you out and you cannot get in. Did we make it? Did we make it?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
We made it by the skin of our teeth. Now to assemble a giant moving handbag on the sidewalk.
I feel really moved that everybody came together and they did this thing for me, and it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to my mum and to my girls. You know, we've been there generations in the background, and this is our moment to have a little go at the spotlight. I'm really moved. I just have the most amazing group of friends and family.
time in the parade's long history, a group of 50 fags and hags marched together to represent all the generations of the handbag relationship. It was amazing.
You never cry. Oh, baby. Oh, you okay? Oh, baby. I'm so proud of you. You okay?
So what happens now? We had our moment in the spotlight and we highlighted how important women are to the gay men in their lives. My children are now practically grown and the rainbow bubble is expanding. They and all their friends are every kind of colour of the GLBTIQ flag. There's increasing social and legal recognition for gay relationships, and maybe if there's nothing left to fight for, then it's okay for the fag hag to slip quietly away into irrelevance. But the world is not a rainbow bubble. Even in seemingly modern countries, misogyny and homophobia still exist. Fags and hags still have to hold hands late at night to keep each other safe from violence and harassment. Beards are still needed in regional towns or religious areas. And we don't have the same rights. Even in developed countries, gay people are still fighting for the right to get married. And there are still 75 countries in the world where homosexuality is a crime. In some of those countries, queer is punishable by death. And in other places, the law might be fair, but being gay is unacceptable, shameful, and dangerous. And in all of those places, we're still fighting the good fight together. We handbags have a lot of work to do. I'm shaking my titties, but you can't see that.